time that we got into the whole conversation of communication. Because every time you speak to people, they're always like, for a relationship to work, there has to be good communication. But nobody ever really explains how communication should be like in a relationship. So today, we need to talk about it, like completely.
Speaking from a side of a man, I think women communicate differently from men.
Right.
A lot of times women get hurt and keep quiet and they just frown up without communicating what they feel.
Right.
Now, they imagine the angelic man will look at them and so I think something is wrong. But I think communication should be an open channel. The moment you feel you've scratched me, tell me, Brian, calm down. I think it's that way. Because people keep quiet a lot.
I think women keep quiet initially because sometimes when we speak in the moment,
Right.
there's a bit of anger.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying, eh? Because it has happened to me. Like when I speak immediately, eh? Though I am that kind of person who doesn't want to sleep over with something. If something has happened, yes, I'm going to think about it, but I want to resolve it that day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so people need to learn. I don't know. Some people keep it for so long and then it drags on and it brings in other issues. Like, take a moment and breathe. Let me say breathe. And then speak it out. Because the longer you keep it, other things are going to come in. So that's what I think. So I think fearing to speak immediately is because there's anger. Most times there's anger and you might say something that you can't swallow back. That's what I think.
I also think, communication is not a general thing.
Yeah.
How you communicate with Brian is kind of different. How you
Yes.
communicate with Mariam.
You're right.
I think going into a relationship without making it intentional for you to understand your partner is why people cannot communicate. Because you may want to communicate to me the way you want to be communicated to. And that's not who I am.
Exactly.
You know, I need a little bit of space if there's conflict for me to actually internalize what's going on, to be able to communicate with you. And yet for you, like you want to have, let's talk about it. I want to, and then you're like, I want to talk about it later because right now I do not think I'm going to say anything of sense. So I kind of think that people need to stop and try to learn their partners, get to know them. Okay, if Mariam is angry, how do I start the communication?
Yeah, but
how long is the space that she needs? Because after living with someone for a while, you get to learn how they, you read the energies around
Yeah,
them.
So,
but also the environment
okay.
is very important. The
Right.
environment. It's not that if something has happened, it should be dealt with there and then. Sometimes it's very embarrassing. Some of the things that people do.
Please.
Yeah. Even if it's your partner, the environment matters. Where are you going to do it from?
Exactly.
If you're at home, are you going to do it in front of your children? Are you going
Right.
to do it in front of your maids? You know, the environment also matters. So people need to be cautious about how to resolve their issues in a relationship in a certain environment.
I think communication in a general, when it's basic language, how we do every day. But then there's also communication levels that change based on what is happening, what level we are at. For
Right.
example,
Yeah.
I have hurt you, but then you're trying to nurture a way back.
Right.
And me who has hurt you, I still have that egoistic tendency.
You're still
I've not
healing.
apologized. See, when we are communicating, it's different. If I've done something wrong to you,
Right.
my communication may actually sound like gibberish because
You're like-
you haven't even apologized. Then you want to talk to me about what? This certain lady walks up. She was raising a child for someone else.
Right.
So the mother comes. They had issues between the first wife. So it was school time. And the gentleman slapped the mother of a child because she wanted to come be present. That resolution looks funny, like you said, environment.
Yeah.
Now there's a second wife, the child, the school administration.
yeah, other
And-
children, you know.
What was the communication there? I think it would be earlier. Please don't come to the school. But the person you're telling not to come to the school
Is the
is
mother.
the
Is
It's
mother,
the mother of the
child.
child. Yes.
So
Yeah.
where do you take the
But
best?
you see, in this scenario where you're saying there's a mother of child, there's probably a bonus mother who stays with the child and takes
Yeah.
care of the child, and you have the father. Now, it's not the bonus's mother's place
Exactly.
to actually speak to the mother of the
Exactly.
child because she wasn't there when things got messed up or they got fine. So it's up to the father
Yeah.
of the child to communicate to the mother of the child
Earlier.
earlier that this is going to happen and this and this and this. But then also it depends on the dynamics of your relationship.
Yeah.
For example, the bonus mom could actually be good friends with the real mother, the biological mother, and they have a way they communicate together. In that case, if you have worked and healed up to a point where these guys can actually communicate, that's different. For example, now I've been seeing videos of Shakib and Diamond Platnumz,
Yeah.
and they seem to be having a situation going on, and it feels like a good, they're communicating. So I'm using this scenario because it's been making rounds on the socials. So I would like to think that in this case, it's okay for Shakib to call up Diamond or whatever and tell him, oh, this is what we are doing, blah, 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 without even the wife getting to know, because these guys, they've already laid a foundation of how their situation is going to work, because there's no way Diamond is not going to go anywhere. But then also Shakib is married to this woman. So I even wonder why people think this is strange. I think this is the ideal way to handle the situation, if you can.
It shows
if
how maturity
it's
should
so
be.
mature.
I think in every relationship, there's stuff you should give up. Ego,
Right.
tendencies, Osung,
Oh,
and
You
Nubu.
are forgetting something about seasons.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example. Sometimes when we are pregnant, for example, we communicate badly. Our hormones are flying all over the place.
For some women,
So
yes.
So I think there's also the accommodating bit. Like the men need to accommodate the way conflicts are resolved in certain seasons.
And communication.
Yes, because when abakazi bekwasanya hormones, but even then sometimes it's the real thing. Like you're angry, you're sweating, you know how pregnancy is. So sometimes you speak so badly without the intended speaking badly. So if the man gets angry, sometimes there's that accommodative bit, like she's going through this stuff,
Right.
So there's that bit where you have to be a bit empathetic,
But you know
and
what?
not really get angry because someone has spoken badly in the season.
But also, they're speaking badly, but then there's a level of disrespect that we come with because we are pregnant or because we are going through the menstruals.
Yeah.
I think your hormones just will highlight who you are.
So do you
if
hide?
if you're not the actual person who disrespects no movuma, you're not going to move because you're hormonal. You'll be angry, yes, but your level of angry, again, it goes back
respectful.
to you understanding your woman. Bobo manyiti ye Mariam bwezibu kako, she's gonna say words. She's gonna say words that are gonna
fly.
be crazy. I think our mwagalirayo bwotyo. Don't expect her to be light because that's
Exactly.
not who she is.
Exactly.
She's not gonna change because that's who she is. That's how she reacts.
But also, in this relationship vibe, we should know the level and the seasons of the relationship.
Right.
There's a time where people are scrambling for power. There's that season where it is
part.
scramble for power. Like, I am the right one, I am the he. So when people are scrambling for power, one must accept. You go to a growth level and say, this is acceptance.
Right.
My lucky girl, she is this way. I have to accept it for this to flow. But
Right.
if you're going to still scramble always, you will never resolve anything.
Yeah,
No,
true,
you'll never.
true,
You'll
and it
never.
will keep growing.
Exactly, it grows.
Yes.
And therefore, that is when people are like, okay, Nzebi Nemi, I've tried to communicate with this person. And
But when you go down on the ground, then you find that's the issue. Like everyone wants to win. No one wants to accept it.
And I'm going to use
Compromise.
Brian's words of mirror yourself. It's always good actually to think about Mariam and put yourself in Mariam's shoes.
Exactly.
If I were Mariam, how would I react or how would I feel before you actually come to me?
Yeah.
Because that's where when you sit down and actually think about your thought process, no shiro zako, then it's easier for you to actually react in a different way. And therefore you'll have positive results because what you're looking for here, especially if you want to keep the relationship, is positive result. Na itogenda jifuna nga Mariam is saying this, I'm saying this, and I am the man, but I'm the woman.
I tell you, if you think that your person is very more listening in bed, then talk from the bed when you are touching.
That's also
Yeah.
important.
Hey.
But
No,
also-
that's the thing of knowing your partner.
But also
if you
there's
know
a
that there's a smooth way and it's in the bed, wait for the bed.
There's also
And
a
then-
level we get at and say, I have to shift the problem from the person. If I know Lucky who she is, I'm dating her. If she has done something wrong, what she has done should not define who Lucky is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times where we define our partner
And
based
judge
on
them
what they
even.
have done.
Yeah.
Yet I
Based
think-
on their imperfections of the mistake they've done or whatever situation they've brought. Yes.
So if you do something wrong to me and I start defining you for that, the relationship is done.
Right.
We have to get to a level of maturity and say, what? Lucky did something wrong. She shouts at me. I should not call her I shouldn't call her names.
Name
Because of what
calling.
she's done. That dents relationships forever. So for you who is doing a solving solution, maturity is called for also.
Yes.
To know that even though Brian has cheated, his name should not start cheater. Where you know what I mean?
Unless he does it again.
Hey, then it becomes, but when you get to a level of name calling,
Yeah.
so it's different. Do you want a relationship to work? Then communication is going to be, you're going to put yourself out there. If you don't want it to work, that's different. You walk away. For me, I believe that as you ask your partners to communicate and be nice to you and do all of these things,
Do the same thing.
do the same thing. Do some work. Work on yourself. I think getting to spaces where you actually get to know yourself, it's easier for you to deal with other people when you actually are doing the work for yourself, because we all come with flaws, period. Tolena kusobola kubeera perfect.
Have you heard those lyrics where people say, "I'll be a fool for you"? I think some relationships you just have to be a fool for it
Yeah,
to flow.
absolutely.
Like, look at things.
Of course, if you want the relationship, foolishness is very important.
Yeah, I mean,
Sometimes.
if you're all wise,
Sometimes. I said sometimes.
what-
Also
what
for
ki-
your own peace.
Also, what kind of foolishness? Kwesiriwaza nga bagenda kulinnyirira.
you're right.
Yeah. What kind of foolishness? Because there are certain, pick your fights. Not every fight must be a fight. Not every situation. There's people who want to blow everything. Not every situation should be a situation, especially if you are looking at a long-term kind of relationship. In this case, you're married or you're planning to get married. Waliwo fights is all kanoga. This one,
Auntie Kati, that's the
But
situation.
you know
yeah.
that make sure sex continues.